Take 427.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Liv's Library. I'm Liv, or Olivia if you'd rather, and we're going to talk about some books. Specifically, the books that I read between January and March. Now, I only read 9 books in the whole first quarter of the year, but given what a quarter it was for me, that's pretty good. We are currently April 26th, and I've currently already read 6 books just in April, so things are on the up and up, but that's for another wrap-up. So, without further ado, we're just going to hop right on into the books. We're going to start in January, and we're just going to work our way through. So, in January, I only read 2 books, and I really genuinely think I did all of my reading just in the last week of April, week and a half of April, but really didn't get a lot done. But what I did read, I really enjoyed. So, the first book I read this year was Almond by Sohn Won-Pyung. And I don't think I said that right, so I do apologize. I have looked it up several times. This book follows a young boy, probably from like the age of 3 to 4 up until high school. And this young man has a very small amygdala, which is part of your brain that helps you process emotions and perceive emotions and have emotions. So pretty much this young boy is emotionless. He can't read other people's emotions. He doesn't know his sarcasm and his humor and can't really comprehend any of it. And one day, he and his mom and his grandma are out for dinner, and these are really the only 2 people in his life who understand his condition, and they've been kind of training him his whole life how to react to situations. There's sticky notes all over the house of when someone says this and they're angry, how do you react, blah, 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 blah. Like, they are training him to fake emotions and have them. And then one day when he's out with them for dinner, something really, really tragic happens, and suddenly he doesn't have either of them anymore, and it's just him trying to face the world, being unable to perceive most of what's going on around him, and the 2 friends that he makes. This was really, really good. I gave this 4 stars. It was a really great way to kick off my year, and that's really all I have on this one. I would strongly recommend. I can't remember if it made me cry or not. The dog did bump me and we spilled some coffee. Don't read any of that too closely. That's chapter 29. But this was a good one. I would also just like throw a little disclaimer out. The whole reason I'm starting this channel, or starting, if you will, is I've, a long time ago, previous head injury, misdiagnosed, had it for over a year, blah, 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 blah. That's a really long story. But the biggest thing is my memory really ain't what it used to be. And I kind of want to immortalize my reading. So when 5 years from now, a book that I read this year that I'm like, oh my God, it's one of my favorites ever. And someone's like, oh my God, what is it about? I can't be like, I don't know. But so if in the beginning part of this video, I have a little bit less to say about each book, and then it gets going a bit more and I have more to say, it's just that I remember more. It has nothing to do with the book. It's not a commentary on the book. It's just my broken little brain. Broken little brain. It's my broken little brain. Okay, sorry. My camera just randomly shut off. So if I'm in a different spot and he's definitely in a different spot and the light is different because the sun is setting, sorry. The second book that I read this year was How to Be Eaten by Maria Aldelmann. This book is set in New York City, present day, and we're following 5 women in this basement, and so they're in a support group, kind of talking about a lot of their traumas, and it's all retellings. It's mostly retellings. You have Ruby from Red Riding Hood. We have Gretel from Hansel and Gretel. Why do I want to call her Hansel every time, but that's the brother. And then we have Bernice, who's supposed to be one of Bluebeard's girlfriends. And then there's a woman named Ashley, and she is like the winner of a Bachelor-style show, or Bachelorette, which is the one with more women, and they fight for the man. Bachelor. She won. She won The Bachelor. And then there's a woman, Raina, and they really have no idea why Raina's in this basement. They think she got an accidental invite, but it's following all these women who went through severe trauma, and it was really vocalized through papers, news. They were really followed, and some of them is childhood trauma, so they're all dealing with it in a different way. I gave this 4 stars, I believe, and now kind of with what else I've read this year and what I've given it for, maybe it's more of a 3.5, but that's for me to contemplate at another time. This was really, really good. This was just badass women being badass. I really actually enjoyed that most of them didn't particularly like each other that much, but they were still all supportive in their very, very strange ways. So this one was good. This author also wrote Girls of a Certain Age, which I think is maybe her more popular book, but I've never read it and I couldn't really tell you what it's about. Okay, the camera did the shut off thing again, but I found the setting to make it not do the shut off thing again. So if I am once again in a different position, or Duncan's butt is once again in a different position, sorry. Oh, it is a big stretch. Hi, okay, hi. He wants to, oh no, now they're gonna play. Okay, so, the first book that, no, hey! We do not play with books. How rude. Okay, are you settled? Can you just lay for like 15, 20 more minutes while I finish this? Okay. I think he wants your attention. Okay. Brief doggy intermission over. Alright, moving into February. I read 3 books in February, so we're slowly making our way up there. Shh, baby. The first book that I read in February was probably a lot of people's first books in February, and that is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. I bought it on my Kindle, I read it on my Kindle, and I'm probably not going to buy it. I really don't have much to say about this book that really hasn't already been said. I didn't rate it. I don't think I'm going to continue on with the series, and quite honestly, the only reason I am still reading Sarah J. Maas is because me and all my high school friends just read them as they come out together, so we have reasons to talk to each other, because adult life is hard, and sometimes we forget to talk to the people that we love the most. But we all started it as soon as it came out, and Natalie still isn't finished, and has just moved on to a new book, so I do think that our Sarah J. Maas era is over, and I'm okay with it, because really the only reason I read this one was to be able to talk to my pals, so. Alright, the second book that I read in February, I keep wanting to say March, February, was You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylnn Bayron. Crushing it. This is my second YA of the year, which is great because I really haven't read a lot of YA in quite some time. But this is a slasher horror book following, what's her name? Charity. And she works at a slasher summer camp, which is like pretty much if you want to go stay at the lake from Friday the 13th and pretend you're in a horror movie, you go here, and Charity plays the role of the final girl. But in the final game of the season, people start really dying. This is really good. I gave this 4 stars. I think had I read it as a teenager or when YA was more my thing, more my speed, I definitely would have given it a 5. But this is really great. Definitely recommend. Loving the slasher horror this year. Our third and final book of February, and the first 5-star of the year, thank you, is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. And I know I'm late to the game. I have been waiting to read this book because I really desperately wanted a hardcover, because there are just some books that I know I'm going to love, and I love this cover as well, so I just really wanted it. And then finally at the little indie bookstore that I love to go to in Providence, it was on their bargain table, and how could I have said no? But this book follows first-time babysitter, okay? And she's just going, she's going to help out her friend. She's going to help watch these kids. That they're not the friend's kids, but the friend's husband's estranged children. And she doesn't really know what she's getting herself into. And then she gets there, and she meets these children. And they spontaneously combust. Just randomly sometimes, whenever emotions are heightened. And this was phenomenal. There's so much found family in it, which is just so Olivia coded. I really, really loved this. I could see this being in my top books of the year. I was so obsessed. I think I possibly cried, but I don't remember. But I could have cried. We are also now moving into this lovely little streak where I had like 4 or 5-star books in a row. So, we're on the up and up. I want to be better at explaining the things, so I'm going to try to be better at explaining the things. Moving on into March. March, I read 4 books. So we slowly just upped it month by month by month until we got to 9. But the first book that I read for March was The Center by Ayesha Manazir Siddiqi. Like I just said in the last clip, we're in this stretch of just 5-star reads, so obviously you already know that I love this, but let me tell you about this if you don't know what it is about. This follows a woman who works in translation, and she really, really wants to translate novels, but right now she's just translating Bollywood films. She's really feeling dog rolls. She's really feeling unfulfilled in her life. Hey, can you stop licking? There's people watching you. She's really feeling unfulfilled in her life, and she meets a boy. They start going out. He also works in translation, and one day he tells her about the center, where you can go and just be submersed and in 10 days learn a new language, which is really what he's been doing. This is like once in a lifetime opportunity. You're only allowed to recommend one person to the center, and everything else, NDA, do not speak about it or you're in major trouble. So this woman obviously is like, well, hell yeah, I'm going to the center and I'm going to be an amazing translationist. That's not a word. No. Hey, no. Okay. Can you sit? Can you, Navy. Okay, first of all, you're going to piss him off. Okay, playtime has ended because there's something out the window that he wants to look at, so we're good. So Anissa, I believe is her name. I don't think I said that at the beginning. Yeah, Anissa, she decides to go to the center, and we kind of just follow her journey going there. And that's really all that I'm going to tell you. But I was, like, genuinely obsessed with this book. Like, this is what page 4 of this book looked like for me. And if you're wondering, my sticky note says, Future Liv, you quit your job tomorrow, and this brought you peace. So maybe that also has a reflection of why this was a 5-star for me, but also just like this cover. Are you kidding me? Gorgeous, beautiful. Please read this. Oh my god, I'm still obsessed. Okay, the next book of March and our next 5-star was The Last Word by Taylor Adams. Now, I know I probably don't need to tell y'all about this book, okay? He's huffing, I apologize. But if for some reason you haven't heard of this book, this is about a woman. She's in a secluded little area. She's house watching, and she posts a 1-star negative review about a book that she reads on her Kindle, and the author responds and he says, "Take down your review or else." And she says, "I'm not taking down my review." And then suddenly she's being stalked, and oh my god, I can't imagine who it is. I love this book. It was just such Taylor Adams energy in, like, the fact that, like, this man cannot end a book, so you're just like, ooh, I've reached the climax, and it's like, ooh, no, there's another one, ooh, no, there's another twist, because he just keeps going and going and going, and I loved it. It was great. This came out last year. I think so many people have already read it, but this was just 5 stars, devoured it within a day, was absolutely obsessed. Which also, let's check. I listened to this on audio, and my review says something about the prologue, and I was like, is there a prologue? I almost DNF'd this in the prologue because of one stupid little line that, like, now in retrospect, I finished the book, and it's satire about reviewing and about horror and all of this stuff. But right before she posts the review, she, like, doesn't. She's, like, almost doesn't. And she's like, I feel like maybe I'm, like, sealing my fate and blah, 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 blah. I was like, are you kidding me? And I almost DNF'd it. I'm, like, 3 pages in. 5 stars. Incredible. Okay, our final 2 books of March, and we are moving into what I read for the Trans Rights Read-a-thon. I kind of really last minute was, like, gonna do this because I think it was like the day before that I realized it was happening because I don't internet very well, but since obviously we're on this adventure, I'm working on that. But the first book that I read for the Trans Rights Read-a-thon was Chlorine by Jade Sohn. 5 stars. This is a literary horror coming of age story about a girl who is a competitive swimmer and genuinely believes that she was meant to be a mermaid, and that's really kind of all you need to know about it. That's all that I knew going into it. But I will say, if we throwback to this head injury I was talking about, this does have commentary on what happens when you get severely concussed and when you rush back into some competitive sports because your coaches think you should and other people think you should, and if you don't go back, you're missing time in that sport, and that sport is your life. And so obviously, Broken Brain Olivia really did enjoy that commentary as well because that hit pretty close to home. And the final book of this little wrap up and the final book of March is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid. I didn't like this. I really picked it up because I heard that it told the story of Purim, and it was on a lot of lists for the Trans Rights Read-a-thon, and the Trans Rights Read-a-thon this year started when Purim started. So I said, I'm going to read that. And I gave it 2.5 stars. Can I even tell you what this is about? This follows a girl named Eva Kay, and she is a wolf. Basically, they're pagans. Her and her sister society, like all of them, they're pagans. And once a year, the woodsmen come and they take a wolf girl to bring to the king because the king doesn't like the pagans. No barking. And I know that this is this Navy Shelton. No. Navy, get away from the window. Protector of the house, if you will. Where was I? Really, what was I talking about? Okay, I don't remember where I left off before we had to yell at the dog. But basically, Eva Kay is the wolf that's taken this year, and she kind of ends up on this whole adventure with the woodsman, and I really didn't like it. I don't know how to give you a plot because, what was it? Okay, this is just 2 hour later Olivia popping back in because there was one thing about this book that, really grinded my gears that I didn't get into because the bean distracted me with the howling at the people outside. But this was on so many lists for the Trans Rights Read-a-thon, and the author uses she, they pronouns, and I'm not saying that they need to be attracted to anything outside of the heteronormative, but you're telling me not a queer person in sight in this whole novel, when queer people exist in all spaces and should be in all spaces, and as a queer person we should be representing queer people. So it just really pissed me off. And I know we can make the argument that it's a fantasy world, blah 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 blah, but queer people exist in fantasy. And but yeah, so that really grinded my gears. Didn't enjoy that, and I just thought the romance didn't play out very well either. I wanted to come in and pop in those thoughts because as much as we're hyping up books when we love them, we should give reasons for when we don't love them. But that's really it. Also, watching this whole video back, I'm so excited for all the improvements I can make in the next one, starting with I think this microphone is turned up too high and I talk too fast. But okay, we're going to pass it over to previous Olivia, and she's going to finish out the video. I don't think the plot was well thought out. I don't think the world building was well done. I don't think the magic system was that well explained. I gave it 2.5 stars, and it gets the half star for the story of Purim. There is this aspect of you want to root for people who are being wronged and are being slighted and, basically being told that they shouldn't be allowed to exist. You obviously want to root for those people, so I was. But, one of the characters in this book gets seriously maimed, and then it is a chapter break. And the way that my roommate came home right when that happened, and I put this book down and didn't pick it up for another day, I was not concerned for this character's safety at all. No, I wasn't. That's unfortunate to say. I know that this is this author's debut, and that they have some more books that a lot of people do really enjoy. So maybe I'll give them another chance. But I do really think that maybe the writing just isn't for me. But if you've read a lot of Ava Reid, maybe let me know if I should try again. Because right now I am truly leaning towards no. Okay, so minus House of Flame and Shadow, which do we really need to even keep talking about? These are all of the books that I read in the beginning of the year. If you've read any of these, tell me what you thought. If you have any opinions similar to mine or opposite of mine. I'm thinking this one would be opposite because a lot of people love this. I think I didn't mesh. But let me know if you read any, if you have any thoughts, opinions, feelings on any of them, or if any of them sounded really interesting to you and you maybe want to read them now. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for coming to this like reinstatement of my channel. Let me know if there's anything you think I could have done better. I personally think I could have looked at you more and not at myself. But, you know, we're working on things. Constructive criticism, okay? Constructive only. But thank you. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your evening or morning or night or whatever it is where you're watching. And I will see you soon with a new book video.